This episode of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live is brought to you in part by Viewfinder's Identity Search and Design. Your choice for web design, graphic design, and all multimedia development needs. Visit VFISAD.com and let us bring your vision to reality.
Hi guys, this is Ruben Langdon. You're listening to A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live. Shoryuken!
Welcome to the show to give you all the news, views, and opinions in the world of gaming. This is A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live Extras Select Start with your host, Xavier Josiah. Power up and game on.
Gentlemen, welcome back. This is A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live Extra Select Start. I am your host, Xavier Josiah. Folks, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys about all things gaming. Of course, we had an unfortunate week. I mean, I don't know how this is going to top anything this year, but we just started this year. But of course, the death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and 7 other members of his friends and family who passed away in that horrific, really horrific helicopter crash. It was just out of nowhere. It's amazing. You don't have to be a basketball fan or a hardcore basketball fan because he transcended over that. If you didn't admire him for his, legendary record in the NBA, you admired him for his accomplishments, for his achievements, for his assertiveness, for his, his will to make things happen. So there was always something. He was one of those guys that just, and he is a Philly guy too. There always is, he was a hometown guy for many of the people in this city in Philadelphia. Of course, he more or less stationed himself in L.A. He will always be known for that. But he is a Philly guy, and you can see the Philly in him. You can see it. But nonetheless, man, it's surreal. It's surreal, and it's a reminder of what you need to do in your life because nothing is guaranteed. Nothing. So to those folks who are out there who haven't done what they wanted to do, and keep holding it off. Imagine what would happen if we didn't have Kobe Bryant do all the things that he did. All I got to say is get out there, do what you want to do before you don't have a chance to, because you never know and you're not guaranteed. And with that said, thoughts and prayers to the family, friends, and fans of Kobe Bryant, including myself. I am a fan of him, not just as a basketball player, but just his accomplishments. I'm more of a fan of his accomplishments and actually him being a father too. I dig any father, especially black fathers out there that are really doing their thing. And he was a selfless dude. You could see it. I mean, he had controversies. He wasn't really, perfect, but that humility and that imperfection, I think, is what really made people like him more. Because there's just always this pretentious attitude that we need to be perfect and everything needs to be on place. No, it's not true. You kind of play off your imperfections, and that's how you grow. So, thoughts and prayers to that. And if you own NBA 2K20, I believe they did instantly, and I mean rapidly, put up a tribute graphic on air, which was updated immediately into that. And it was awesome of 2K games to do. I know I give 2K games a lot of grief about the crap quality that they can bring in some of their games, not all of them, but they were on point with this. It's that deep. It's still striking people to this day. And for them to do that, I commend them on that. That was very awesome for them to do. So again, thoughts and prayers to the family, friends, and fans of Kobe Bryant. It's going to be a hard time. It's going to be a healing time, but hopefully we can learn from this and really get through this and really understand that life is short. Life is too short, and there's a lot of people hurting. We need to heal them, help them, and help each other overcome and support each other now more than ever. So, with that said, today we will be reviewing a new indie game out for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch called 1980X. I had a chance to play this new indie game. When I first saw this, I believe it was E3 that I saw this, or one of the Nintendo showcases about this, and it just looks so intriguing. The graphics look so really cool, old school, over the top type of graphics. It reminds me of the days of it's between, after playing it, I thought it was like a really Sega Genesis type of throwback. No, it's actually more 32-bit. It's more like PlayStation 1 2D graphic style, because there's a lot of sprites and framework that's added on that you couldn't do on a Genesis or even Super Nintendo or whatever like that. So I had a chance to play this game, but even more importantly, about not just about playing the old school video games in here, this is not a regular game. This game has a really deep, intricate, and intimate narrative, and it tells a story involving a kid and his love for video games and growing up. So we're going to talk about that on our final stage review today. And before we get to the news of everything, I just want to, I am happy, but bittersweet, because unfortunately, the good news is that I finally beat Witcher 3, the main story of Witcher 3. After playing all that, really great experience. It's a hell of a marathon of a game to play, but it was great. It kept me going. It's like, there's still, out of all that I've been doing in that game, I still feel like Zelda Breath of the Wild is still the better experience. I don't know, it's something religious about that game that got me going. There's some unlimited aspects that come with Breath of the Wild compared to Witcher 3, but Witcher 3, with that said, my God, so much detail, so much depth in this game, and an insanely amount of dialogue. I can't even fathom how long this game took to make. Now, the bad part is that I beat this game on Sunday, which is the day of Kobe's passing. So it was like I couldn't be truly happy, because like I was just so, like everybody else, I was just so down on the dumps. So it's like, all right, I beat it. All right, it is what it is. But no, to its respect and credit, they did a phenomenal job with this game, as many of you already know before me, and I enjoyed it, and so much so, this is going to segue right into the news, so let's get to that. I decided to invest in Thornbreaker, which just came out for the Nintendo Switch, and like Witcher 3, it was already been out for other systems, and this is actually an all Gwent RPG game. And if you haven't played Witcher 3 and you don't know what Gwent is, and I hate the fact that they gave it that name, I don't understand the term of that name, it just sounds weird. But Gwent is a card battle game that plays throughout Witcher 3, but now they have a game that's just totally focused and dedicated to the Gwent playing game with its own story and narrative. It's considered a spinoff to Witcher 3. So I got a chance. I am playing it right now. I haven't played it through. It literally just came out, and I'll be talking about that next week, because I also got that. I got Puzzle and Dragons, the new one that just came out, and I'm still weighing out on that one, so we'll see. But also, I decided to get, which already came out not too long ago, I also got Puzzle Quest. So what I want to do next week is do a compare and contrast of the three, because for the short time that I played Thornbreaker, The Witcher's Tale, I've noticed that there's a lot of adopted elements that is taken from Puzzle Quest. And Puzzle Quest, God, if you haven't played that game, when that game was out, and this is a remake of Puzzle Quest. So, I mean, if you played it before, like way back during the PS Vita days or the PlayStation Portable days, the PSP days, it was out around that time. It is an addictive puzzle game. It's like they took some of the elements adopted some of the elements from Tetris and a lot of the actual puzzle games from our past, like Dr. Mario or all those other games, put it together and then made it into an RPG game. And it was the first of its kind. Before Thornbreaker, before any of these other games that have been doing it, they were the first ones. To my belief, they were the first ones to really do this in such a fashion. And they decided to do a redesign and remaster of the game, so it has all new updated graphics and look and feel to it. And it's every bit as fun so far as it has been. And it's to me, this Puzzle Quest is my version of chess. It's very methodical. It's not entirely too complex. So that's out. Puzzle and Dragon is out. And you got Thornbreaker. So next week I'm going to compare and contrast the three, see which one I feel like I like better. So that is out. If you haven't played it, or if you have played it on the other systems and you own a Nintendo Switch, much like Witcher 3, you really want to check it out. It's a very cool, deep game experience that you are going to possibly enjoy. Now, you guys remember? Or you maybe not, because I spoke to more or less about this with the A.C.M.G Facebook group, and we were talking about how the Gwent portion of Witcher 3 is the one thing that is not fun. It is very complex and difficult to play, so it's crazy that I even humor buying Thornbreaker because it's nothing but the Gwent game. But I wanted to see if it actually has a better grasp of understanding the gameplay compared to that of the one in the game. And I did this because Dragon Ball Xenoverse has their own Dragon Ball Super Dragon Ball Heroes card game within the game. And that one is a little bit more difficult to play. But if you play Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Missions, very easy to, much more user-friendlier to play, a lot more fun to play, and you do gain more of an advantage, and there's a story element as well. That also has a RPG element too. That is an RPG game in itself as well. So, to me, that is the best card battle game since SNK versus Capcom on the Neo Geo Pocket. Honestly, nothing to me tops that. I still own and play that game because I have the Retro Pi, and I'm telling you, there's no card battle game as user-friendly, as fun, and intuitive as, that game. Still to this day, the formula that they made for that it's almost flawless. Virtual, I don't see. I damn near can say it's just flawless. It's not even virtual. To me, it's flawless. I haven't found one bad part about that game that was ill. And it's not even as complex either. It's just straightforward. So yeah, like I said, I decided to get this game to see if there was a contrast in gameplay, in rule set and stuff like that. And there seems to be a definite significant contrast between how I play Gwent in Thornbreakers and how I play it on Witcher 3. So again, I'll be talking about that all next week, and see which one is the better one and the more fun one. And again, at the end of the day, it is all opinionated. So this is how I feel about the game. Doesn't mean you have to, rely on what I feel, but this is from my own experience as well. And maybe will give some logical reasons as why something is bad or why something is not bad, or something is just that damn great, or why you must have it. But at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion. So I don't want anybody to make it seem like I want to dictate your personal enjoyment, because you may have a personal enjoyment different from me. So I just want to put that out there right there. But, stay tuned for next week. That's going to be one of the big highlights of what we'll be reviewing next week as well. So, in other news, Bandai Namco. There's going to be a lot of Bandai Namco news here because they, of course, it's becoming a love-hate relationship with them. I love them because they have some really great games. They've had great games in the past, especially when they were just Namco. Now, Bandai Namco, because of their association with a lot of the anime licenses that they do from Shonen Jump, they are allowed to, use that license to, collaborate with Namco to do this. So you got, the Dragon Ball Z franchise, you got the Naruto franchise and such, and all these licenses that they had. They just did Kill la Kill a while back, which not exactly the best game in the world in terms of, just all around fun. It's very simplistic, but it is a lot of fun. And if you're a fan of the series, you may be a fan of that game. So it's if you're looking for something like Spider-Man or God of War or any of those other AAA games that are like totally complex and engaging, not exactly. And that goes for a lot of the Namco, Bandai Namco games, because they're mostly fanfare based. Especially when you have Dragon Ball, especially when you have Naruto, especially when you have My Hero Academia. And now One Punch Man is coming out along with One Piece, Pirate Warriors 4, and My Hero Academia 1 Justice 2. All these are coming out, and just recently they announced release dates for all of these games. Just recently, which they didn't have in prior to them advertising this. One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, will arrive February 28th for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. So I saw that game. I think it looks great. I am a fan of the anime series. A few of the actors in there have been guests on this podcast, and I'm always a supporter of that. And again, Bandai Namco, they a lot of times do get it right. I think where they fall off a lot of times is not based on quality, but presentation. The presentation of a lot of their games is like, they could put a lot of depth into their games, and then they can kind of fall off. My Hero Academia Justice last year was a good game. It could have been a great game. It could have been a fantastic game if they gave it that presentation that they normally gave Ultimate Ninja Storm, or they gave any Dragon Ball game that they ever done. So it was nothing more than a arcade game, which is not a bad thing. But if you wanted something a little bit more, you're not going to get it from that. And that might be the same for One Punch Man, which it will be out at that time. So I had the A.C.M.G Facebook group do a poll on there, and I believe still this game is split on whether they wanted to invest in the game. So there's like 50% said they definitely will because they're fans. 50% said I'm not sure yet. Not really sure. This might be, and that also means that could also mean rather I'm not going to buy it, or I'm going to buy it, but not at the price that they will on this time. And I can't hate on that. Sometimes there are games that you want to play, but you feel like the price may not be respectful to the game experience that you're getting. I've talked about this on this show for so many times, so I can understand that, and that's very smart thinking. Like, some games are worth playing, but sometimes the prices of these games are sometimes can be a little bit overboard or astronomical to some extent, especially when you're not getting the same thing. That's the reason why I did not buy Samurai Showdown, because like I said, and I've mentioned this before, a lot of the fighting games that is out now, NetherRealm, Street Fighter 5, any of those NetherRealm games like Mortal Kombat or Injustice or whatever, all those games come up with such a huge presentation, story mode, like in-depth story mode, full up with cutscenes and everything, and they just engage you into the universe. And then you got Samurai Showdown for the PlayStation 4, and you got an Xbox One, and they charge you the same price for less of the experience. No. So that's why I got it for the Switch, and on the Switch there was a huge sale for it, and I got it there. So unfortunately I got everything that everybody end up getting on a PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, including the season pass, for the same price that you would pay for one game, whereas other people paid for that one game and then had to pay for the season pass. So I'm really glad I waited out on that one. Another big example is of astronomical is Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive is just way too damn much. They charge you the initial $60, but then they want you to pay another $99 for some skimpy, scantily clad, wear. Oh, please let us find the pervert or the pervy sages out there that are doing this. That to me, it's ridiculous. So, but for what it's worth, Bandai Namco, in my experience, do make some good to really great games, and it just ranges out from that. So I think One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, I think it'll be a good game. I don't think it'll be great. It just gives off the vibe that they're not going to put too much emphasis on it, and there's no English dub in it. So again, this is the other thing we talk about a lot is that Bandai Namco doesn't put in the money for games that they believe that are not going to be like a big cash grab. Dragon Ball, definitely. They're going to put that entire. They're going to put Sean Schimmel and Chris Sabat and Kyle Haber and all those guys in there, no problem. Naruto, they're gonna put Molly in there and Amanda in there and Yuri and all those guys in there. They're gonna put them in there. All the original actors will always be in there because those are the two biggest anime franchises of all time. Those are legendary. My Hero Academia, although people still love that and it's gaining momentum and is getting there, and it was voted Anime of the Decade by our A.C.M.G Facebook group, to Bandai Namco's metrics and understanding, I don't think they're going to put in the audio cast for it. I'll be really surprised if My Hero Academia does, and if it does, that kind of is an indication that their popularity is getting higher, is increasing. So I've played a lot of Bandai Namco anime translated games or licensed games. I'm telling you, the only ones that get it is Dragon Ball and Naruto. I played JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. A lot of them. None of them have English audio. None of them. So it'll be interesting. Speaking of that, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 will arrive on March 27th for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. I like how it's like every console, but then when it comes to the Steam or the PC, it's like it's one or the other. And every time I watch these, get this information, it's always one or the other. It's never both, and it's kind of like they're one and the same in a sense. But yeah, it'll be out on March 24th. This version will include online co-op play for up to 4 players as you battle through hundreds of enemies at once. I remember, it's amazing how far that company has gone as far as the Dynasty Warrior style games. I don't know. I guarantee you, I know there's a lot of people who don't know the origin of Dynasty Warrior games, and there's a lot of people right now who don't realize that Dynasty Warrior, when it first came out, it was a fighting game. Dynasty Warrior was originally a fighting game that starred a lot of historical figures in China and the romance of the Three Kingdoms, pretty much. And it was actually an alright fighting game. It was an alright 3D fighting game. I thought they were going to move forward to it, but then PlayStation 2 came out and changed everything. Because of the power of the PlayStation 2, they were able to experiment with something that has never been done before at the time, and that was have a game that is going to have that tested the power of the PlayStation 2. And Dynasty Warrior was with that game because Dynasty Warrior was the first game that showed that you could have more than just 2 people or 3 people at one time. It had like tens of it had at least over 100 people at once. And lo and behold, it was a success, and they kept bringing out different sequels for it. The problem was, after a while, it became a little bit more. It became way too cookie cutter. I guess that's the word I could say, or the phrase I could say. Redundant, if you will, maybe, but it just, you got the same experience. After a while, I'm like, how are these series still selling? Like, it was kind of like the Dragon Ball series, where you're playing another Dragon Ball game, but it's based on the same Z Saga. Even now, I mean, we talked about last week with Kakarot last week, but at least the difference is they made it to do something different than the other ones prior to, but it is still based on the same thing. Well, they finally started to branch out. They got Warriors Orochi now 3, which has like all of the Tecmo Koei characters in there, along with the Dynasty Warrior characters. And now they also branched out. They got Fist of the North Star, which they did a while back. Bleach, they did. Well, I don't think Bleach was a Tecmo Koei game, but they did. A Bleach game was made like that. Now One Piece, Pirate Warriors, which I played like I think 2 and 3 on a 3DS, and in a PS Vita, and now 4 is coming as well. So it's amazing how this grew. And the great part about it is now they figured it out. They realized that they have to do something different. So each game has different play mechanics, even though it's just the hack and slash open world type of thing. So at least to that credit. And now you can play as some of your favorite anime characters now going through this as well. So that's the awesome part. As I said, this is coming out March 24th. You'll have that new co-op playability that you'll be able to play. I did a poll for this as well, and the A.C.M.G Facebook group was a little bit different on this one. This was 60% of our members voting that said they were willing to invest in this game. 40 said they're holding back. Again, it could be the same reasons as what I mentioned, but we'll see. I've played the game, the games before. I actually love them, and it does help catch me up with the series and all the 1,000 episodes that series has. It is really hard to watch that show. It's hard to watch the show because there's so many episodes you got to catch up on, and there's a lot of filler arcs in there as well, and you don't know which arc to actually read or get on with. And at least, if all else, when I watched that show, only one arc I wanted to see is the arc where Ace died, because that was such a well done. And the reason why I wanted to see that immediately is because I played the game and followed the game, and I was like, oh, this character's cool as hell. Holy crap, he dies. They pulled a Jiraiya move on him, and I was like very intrigued and wanted to see that episode, and it didn't disappoint at all. It was very dramatic, very sad, heart wrenching and heartbreaking at the same time. So I dug it, and so now I get One Piece Pirates Warriors 4 is going to catch up with all of the recent episodes that they have been airing. And then you got the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One with now like even better graphic in art style with it too. So this is going to be fun. Of course I'm going to get it for the Switch. There is none higher. Like, I think Kakarot might be the only game. It's possible that it may be the only game I get this year for the PlayStation 4, which is sad. Now watch, I guarantee, I got a big feeling Kakarot is going to go to the Switch. It's a possibility. Now granted, it is like, I think it's like 30 gigs or something like that. It is kind of big, but I'm pretty sure that the Switch can handle it. I got Witcher 3 in there. That's like 31 gigs in there of a whole entire deep ass world in there. So I think they can handle it with no problem. And then, as I mentioned, you got My Hero Academia 1 Justice 2, which will be out March 13th. And it has introduced a lot of new characters to that has not been in the first game, along with the ultra-powered Izuku Midoriya in full costume 100% based on a recent climatic episode that just aired a couple of weeks ago. I believe it's episode 76, where he went full 100. And people got really excited. It's a really great episode of that too. So I'm looking forward to all these games. More likely, I will be getting those games and reviewing those games, and when the time comes by. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll give you the full review. I'll take the bullet for you as always. So, and other news, I want to give my thoughts on the recent updated character for Mortal Kombat 11, and that is the Joker. I got a chance to play him. Now I'm starting to realize that now, whenever they do a DLC update, it's 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is our 3 o'clock here in the East Coast, that they're going to do this. So, but he finally came. I actually didn't know whether I was going to enjoy the character. I've actually enjoyed all the characters, but of course, I've said it many times. You know what I'm waiting for. If you heard the show before, I'm waiting for Spawn. No more, no less. And there's only one more left. But with that said, this Joker, I like this Joker better than the Joker on Injustice 1 and 2. They did a great job with this. He's just as ratchet as ever. He does fit into the world really well. Just really batshit crazy. No pun intended. But some of his moves does include a Batman puppet with an installed gun in there that he fires both high and low. A Jack-in-the-Box move that allows him to push opponents away from him. Give him the chance to maneuver to pull off another move or a combo or whatever. Then you have a brutal beatdown with the cane. So I believe those are the three major moves that he has right now. But his fatal blow, that fatal blow is freaking overkill. If you've seen it, he basically just does the whole beatdown thing that he does with Robin in the comics, but it's much more gratuitous than it has been on the comics. Like, this is the way that I think that they wanted you to see it in the comics, but if he would have done it this way, the dude, whoever, every time he does this, there is no coming back from the amount of violence that he brought in this, or this fatal blow. He's dead. And then on top of that, his fatalities are literally icing on a cake. I'm not even joking. He gives you a freaking cake. The cake blows up on your face. There's balloons that says friendship. He shoots you off. Some of you may have seen this on the in videos or on social media. And then he shoots you, pops the balloons, and all that comes out is fatality. First of all, he's shooting at a piece of plywood or board with the word fatality on it. How the hell are those bullets not penetrating the wood? And then it comes off saying, how, like, I didn't know that there was a bullet thick enough to, like a wood thick enough to stop a bullet, especially when it's just a regular plywood. So I thought that was very weird, but this is the Mortal Kombat world. And then when he falls down, it like splits him in half. So that's one of the fatalities. The other one is he blows a hole in you. No, he punches a hole in you with a boxing glove, a huge boxing glove, and then he puts a Jack in the Box in you, and the Jack in the Box pops up and pops your head off and everything. It's just really whacked out weird. So overall, I do like him. He fits. He absolutely fits into that world almost too well, and it was just really crazy. So again, there's one character left, and unfortunately, we gotta wait till I believe March 20th for Spawn. And I'm telling you, I've said this before. Other people in our A.C.M.G Facebook group have said this before. It better be a damn good reason. I think it's coming out the 20th, which is a Friday, or the 24th of March. But there better be a damn reason why they waited for him to be last, because everybody wanted to play him immediately. He was the most voted character in the entire game. Not Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator, which is, he's really cool in the game. Definitely not the Joker. And the other characters were, Sindel was like the only other really big character, and Melina, which never made it into the game. At least not this season. And I say not just this season because if you go, like I said, I've said this before a while back, if you go into the eShop and Nintendo, I don't know about this for the other ones, for the other stores, game stores, but if you go in there, there are extra slots for DLC in there. So I don't know if there will be other characters coming in a second season or whatnot. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But Spawn, man, if we don't hear a movie come out, I'm telling you, I've been hearing about a Spawn movie. It's now 2020. Last time I heard it was from Todd McFarlane himself at San Diego Comic-Con at a panel with Robert Kirkman. And my Lord, I swear to goodness, he said that there was a Spawn movie coming out. And it's not that I don't trust him. Todd McFarlane, when he says something, it normally does happen. It doesn't happen when we want it. It happens when it needs to be. I'm hoping March is when it needs to be. That's just all I'm saying about that. So, we'll hopefully cross your fingers with that. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, I want to give my thoughts on the trailer that just came out for the movie that was mentioned last week, called Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. Now, just about a couple of weeks ago, they mentioned that this animated movie was coming out. This rated R animated movie was coming out, and now we got the full trailer, and we got to see the trailer. I'm split right now on whether this is going to be good. They're going to be selling it on Blu-ray and digital. They didn't give it an exact date as to when it's coming out, but it is said that it'll be out this year. The thoughts that I have for this is a little bit split based on just alone the art style. This is Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers has some of the best animators in the country. The best character designers in the country. The DC universe, animated universe at least, is some of the best animated features we have seen in like years, bar none, that America has come up with. And that's aside from Legend of Korra and Avatar and such, and Boondocks. You know, even before all those even came out, like, Warner Brothers has been killing it. Warner Brothers and DC have been killing it with their animated series and their art directions and art character designs, killing it. But there was one or two in particular movies that, me personally, that I really didn't dig. One of which was Superman Unbound. It had a really weird art style that I wasn't too thrilled with in comparison to like the other ones, like for Young Justice or Batman Superman Apocalypse or something like that. I had a hard time really working with that one. And granted, I also took it from a perspective of, it's like comic books. You got to have different art styles. You got to change it up every so often. You can't have everything the same thing and let it be vanilla or whatever like that. So in that respect, I understood. But it still wasn't my favorite among the most, like, you know, where's the animators and the character designers from Enter the Red Hood? From, you know, or from the Red Hood Batman, which was one of my favorite Batman animated movies of all time. The Red Hood one was just crazy hot. I need to watch that again. In fact, I got the DC Universe app. I need to start watching these. But also, Superman versus the Elite. Now, I did like that feature film because of the narrative and the premise of it. I loved it. But the art design was not to my liking. And here we got Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, and it kind of looks like the guys who may have done one of these movies are doing it now. And I mean, the animation itself looks great, but the art style, the art style to me looks like an updated version of the 90s version of Mortal Kombat, the animated series. I don't know if you guys even remember that Mortal Kombat at one point had an animated series that used to come on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings or whatever like that. And they kind of played it off like it was a G.I. Joe Cobra type of deal. And never really played off to the, which is funny now, because honestly, that's what they're doing now with the series. It's no longer like a tournament. It's solely based on, you know, good versus evil now. It's totally a G.I. Joe versus Cobra or Avengers versus Shield, or Shield versus Hydra type of, you know, storyline now. So, you know, here it just looks, I'm a little bit torn with the art style of this animated series. So I won't let that lead into my thoughts about it, because also you got to consider the story being really good, and sometimes the story can be so good that it's like, all right, I'll let that go for a tiny bit. But it is still that doesn't say it's not really good. It's just not, like, they have a lot of options of who could have done this. I wouldn't have made it the way that they did it. I think there were way better character designers out there that could have did it really well with that. Also take note that this movie is supposed to be based on Scorpion's origin, which is Quan Chi, you know, manipulating him into killing Sub-Zero because he thought Sub-Zero killed his family. So it's playing off of that. But the trailer focuses so much more on the Mortal Kombat storyline as well. So I don't know what to take from the trailer. I'm assuming that the main focus will be him, but they showed everybody of who's going to be there or not. So we'll see. The film is set to be rated R, which means it will be, you know, expect nothing but top quality, gratuitous violence at its best. You know, far be it from me to say I'm not going to watch it, but we'll check it out. We'll see. I'll actually give a review when that comes out as well. So that is all the news that we got for this portion of the show. We're going to take a break, come back, and review 1980X, this must-play game with a very important message and a narrative in here that I think is going to develop in as the time goes. So we'll talk about that right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dak Xavier Josiah, the host of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, the podcast. You want to catch up with all of our podcast shows and hear from some of the hottest names in all of anime, comics, movies, and games, such as...
This is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto.
This is Stephanie Shea, the voice of Sailor Moon.
This is Ruben Langdon, voice of Ken Masters and Dante from Devil May Cry.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Ryu from Street Fighter V.
This is Chris Battle, character designer of Teen Titans Go.
Here's your chance to check out all of that and more on TalkTimeLive.com. TalkTimeLive.com provides all of our ACMG content with new and previous episodes, exclusive interviews, articles, and much more. Visit TalkTimeLive.com and let us help you learn to let go, live life, and love all things ACMG.
Talk Time Live.
This is Amanda Celine Miller, the voice of Boruto and Sailor Jupiter, and you are listening to ACMG Presents Talk Time Live.
With our final stage review, and it is my review of the new indie game that just released on the Nintendo Switch called 1980X. It is a bit of a hybrid game because at one point it is an arcade throwback game or that celebrates arcade games, but hidden in there is a really cool narrative and storyline involving a kid and it's somewhat of a coming of an age story. And here, it is also out for the Steam. It is out for PS4, Xbox One as well. And it is, I've played it. It's not a really deep game. It's like you could beat it really, really fast, like faster than normal games. I think of it as like a short film. And within that short film, you get a lot within that short film. And it's like... I hate to bring this back up, but Kobe Bryant's short film that he got an Oscar for, or any short films that was done by Pixar. This is kind of like that for video games. And first, I'd never really seen anything of this nature done like this, but it felt like a short film. And that's what the part I liked about it. And it it's a 2D game. It is a 2D sprite game. Basically, I mentioned 32-bit is more. It looks like the days of the Genesis throwback or the TurboGrafx throwback, but it's more or less to me like PlayStation 1, because PlayStation 1 had animation and sprites that flowed this with graphics this smooth. And this feels like 32-bit style game, 2D game designing. So, and I could be wrong on that note, but you know, I don't see games that move this well or fluid on the Genesis. Maybe the 32 Genesis 32X. You know, maybe not even the Sega CD, but that is the highest. And then TurboGrafx may be the other one that you could see something of this nature. Neo Geo as well. So all of those. But Neo Geo was like a really, really huge, and yeah, I guess you could really say that. Yeah, you could really say that. It's up to that level, but within it is a really cool story involving, a kid and his journey through his life, and how, is basically a coming of age story. That talks about what he wants to do, what he's trying to do in life, but also falls into the love of video games. On the website, you can read the story, but I'll read it to you. It says 1980X is an arcade epic, a coming-of-age story told through multiple games and genres, worlds, and characters. especially the thrill of shooting, driving, jumping, fighting, and role-playing. Combined with emotional cinematic storytelling, this is a love letter to the golden age of arcade games, which, yet with a scope that was never possibly in the actual 1980s. Very true on all that aspect. And I think they captured it really well with this game. I'm a kid who grew up in the 80s, so I do understand this, and I felt this game like this. It goes on to say the game is set in suburbia, which I can't connect to because I was in the city. I'm inner city, but it's set in suburbia, just outside of the city. Sometimes in 1980X, it follows the journey of a kid, a teenager stuck between the limitations of innocent youth and the obligations of inevitable adulthood. The story unfolds when the kid discovers a local arcade, finding new worlds and new meaning in the video games. For every visit to the arcade, every game uncovered, every move mastered, every demon defeated, the kid grows stronger. And that's what pretty much seems to happen when here, because all through the game, and it's set up so well, the emphasis is not the games that you play. The emphasis is on how the game is played and why and what you're going through when you're going through the game. Because every once in a while you'll have the narrator, which is the kid, talking about some of the things that he's going through and what he's thinking and as he's playing the game. And in that, there's an artistic take on the games that are played. Like, you're not playing to win, you're playing to experience. There's a certain sense of empathy in this game that I do appreciate and do love. And everybody, whether you're a gamer or not, has had to go through this situation growing up. He just happened to be able to connect with it from his experience of playing video games and understanding it. And you know what's funny? I've done it myself in some cases, because the one thing that parents of that era, of that generation, don't understand is that they think that video games don't amount to anything. Well, we've more than proven that today with the way the esports is going and how much money these kids are making now. Still, one of the only reasons why I would love to live as a kid during this era. The only reason. That is it. If I was able to be a kid and make money as an esport person, as an esports competitor, man, who knows? Who knows? But I digress. The one thing that I did learn from playing video games is not to give up. It gives me the courage, it gives me the drive, it gives me the assertiveness to want to keep going. You don't know it. Video games can be a very wax on, wax off type of discipline where it teaches you when you don't know you're being taught. So there are times when I get frustrated with an obstacle in real life. What video games have taught me is that, like, sometimes you just need to walk away from the game, but don't give up on playing the game. So you can stop playing the game, take a break, come back, and I guarantee you, you'll be refreshed, you'll get your mind straight, and every single time, it never fails, that I'll go back into a game that I have a challenge with, I persevere in that level. And I do the same thing in life. And what it helps me do in life is to encourage me. I'm not saying that every video game is perfect, but I'm saying video games in general can have that effect, can have a positive effect, it can have you think about things philosophically sometimes. If you play in the right game, that, you know, if designed really well, like this game is, can really have you think about things. And what I love about this game also, because I talk to a lot of people on the A.C.M.G Facebook group, I talk to people on social media all the time. We have a generation of introverts. The development of the introvert community has grown exponentially in the last couple years, if not, 3 years, a few years. And I feel like this game can connect with people like that. People who always try to question, what is going on and with their lives, or what does it mean, or what direction do I need to go? People are still growing. We're always growing. We're always learning. But you feel there's a certain situation where you feel like, there's a point in your young adulthood that you got to start thinking about things as you're getting towards those 20s, and then once you get into the 20s and you get to the 30s and such, there's some people who are still in that mode and still, haven't overcome what they have overcome in that time. I think this game therapeutically can help, gamers like that, and people who are, gamers like that. In hindsight, a part of me feels that it is greatly recommended, and I can't give you a professional recommendation as a therapist because I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but I feel like this game has a way of connecting to a certain demographic deeper. I think this game should be played by everybody for one aspect or another. I think this game should, if you're a retro gamer, you'll love this game because the mini games that they have in here, the arcade mini games that are paying tribute to those games of the Genesis, of the Super Famicons and the Super NES and the PlayStation 1 games and the Neo Geos, TurboGrafx, so forth and so on. It pays great homage, absolutely great homage. The beat 'em up game, is my favorite of the bunch. I love that. Again, when you play these games, these are all games that are not meant to play, but it's meant to experience and get through. And I love the fact that if you do struggle on one part, because they do pose a challenge. It's not like you're just playing the game and you're getting through it. They do challenge you. They do make it they do give it a fun excuse me. They do give it a fun but not a difficult challenge. And I love it. I love that. So even if you lose, like say if you do the shoot 'em up mode, if you just get past one section of the actual of the shoot 'em up portion, it'll stay there. But you don't want to turn off the game because you'll have to start all over again. Now, once you beat a certain section of the game, you'll be able to play it all over again at any time. You could just play each version, or you could play the whole entire thing over again. There's also the racing game, which is a lot of fun as well. The ninja game is really challenging. It's pretty much a running game, if you will. It's like I forgot, like Goat Ninja, which was done a while back on the Goat Ninja game, which was one of my favorite mobile games. Also illustrated by one of my my Keystone Comic Con panel guests from Udon Entertainment, Longvo. I gotta find that game again. That game was awesome. He also did the Shaq game too, if I remember. But this plays a little bit like Goat Ninja. So there's no stop. You just go. You got to make sure you just maneuver over different places. Again, graphics is very well done. Character design is very well done in this game. Man, it's beautiful. It's beautifully done. It is a great love letter to the retro gaming community, bar none. Then there's also the RPG game in here. I was really, really hoping for a fighting game, but maybe down the line, even if because the way that they ended this, it feels open-ended. It feels very open-ended, like there needs to be a little bit more here. I would want to see more. I don't know if they're going to work on an expansion from this or they're going to work on a sequel to this. Maybe 1990X. I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully this is a means for them to do something more, but I absolutely really appreciated the art and effort of this game. From an artistic standpoint, it's beautifully done. From a narrative standpoint, I thought it was beautifully done. I love the narrator who plays the kid in here, and the actor in this had a really, I want to say down a depressing type of tone, but it was just I don't know where my life is going right now. It was a tone that I've had myself before. I remember myself in high school when I actually, I used to hang around in the window and look outside like, what's going to happen with my life? What's going to actually happen with my life? I don't know what the hell's going on right now. Where it's going to lead to? How do I present myself in this world? And there's some empathy that was really shown in this game, and I really appreciate it. I tried to get in contact with one of the people responsible for the game. In particular, Tobias, who I believe was the director. Tobias, forgive me if I butcher his name if he's listening. Bernibi? Please forgive me if I butchered his name, and hopefully we can actually talk and I can have them on the show. But I had trouble getting them on. There's some issues with the email address. They are a Sweden-based company, so I don't know if that plays a factor. But I've never had this problem with reaching out to people in Singapore, because I talked to David Wong from Gentle Brothers. I've spoken to Matt Papa in Japan. So I don't know what's too much of the issue with that, but hopefully we can get together and we can possibly, get them on the show to talk about this, because this is, to me, as short as this game is, I think it has a means to be a Game of the Year contender because of what they did. It's a really, there's a lot of depth into this game that told a story, and you're wanting to know what the hell is going to happen with this kid and what this is going to lead to. So hopefully we get a chance to talk to them. Hopefully we get to see more from this game or a sequel or whatever, but not. But if you want to get a really cool indie game, and it's $9.99 on the Nintendo Switch right now. I'm not sure how much it is for everybody else. I'm going to assume that it's the same thing for everybody else. But if you want a really cool gaming experience, if you're a retro gaming fan, and you just want to see something different, man, shout out to the graphic artists, Alexis Morrill and Catherine Manabde, I believe, Tim Johnson, Motocross Saito, and it's just, and the rest of the graphic artists in there. It's just, these guys, this team did a really great job here. The programmers, the music really sets the tone as well. And this game gives you that it matches with the tone of his personality, of what he's feeling right now. And I felt that it really captured that. The writer and director, Tobias, again, great job. I hope, if you're listening to this, please get in contact with me. I want you on the show to talk about this. This is an awesome game. I think everybody, as many people as possible, our listeners, I guarantee they want to know more about this here. So if I'm going to give this a grade, absolutely, without a doubt, this game was an A+ for me, even though it's short. If it's one negative, is that it's short, but it's short for a reason. I feel that there's a reason why it's short. It definitely leaves you wanting much more. So hopefully not only will we get a sequel, but we'll also get different game genres as well. I mean, there's RTS out there. There's first person, maybe. There's fighting games, because it is the 80s, so fighting games didn't come into like the late 80s into the 90s. So maybe if they do a 1990X, that maybe fighting games will play a factor in this as well. Sports games, maybe, who knows? There's a lot to be said that they could come in, so it'll pay a lot more homage to the video games that we all love. So folks, go out of your way to check it out. Again, it's out now on the eShop on the Nintendo Switch. It's out on PSN. It's out on Xbox Live. It's out on Steam, I believe, as well. So go out of your way to check it out. It's so worth it. Definitely A+ game for me, folks. That will do it for this edition of Select Start. This Sunday, we just saw the final episode. Excuse me. We just saw the final episode of Arrow. My God. We're going to talk about that episode. We're going to talk about Greg Berlanti and Greg Berlanti Studios and everything that went down, because there was an hour special talking about everything that has happened in the last 8 years. And then they had the last episode. I don't want to say too much, but it went out on a freaking phenomenal note. And we're going to talk about that this Sunday. It's going to be dedicated, the talk topic of this Sunday is going to be dedicated to Arrow. Thank you, Stephen Amell. Thank you, Greg Berlanti, and everybody in that cast. But we're going to talk about that this Sunday, along with all the other news that is going on in the world of our favorite fandom. So, folks, that will do it. You can always listen to us here on TalkTimeLive.com. You can check out our exclusives on our exclusive page, or type in TalkTimeLive.com/exclusives. I got to once again add on the other new interviews that I've done last year, probably the more that's coming this year as well. And you can also follow us and subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, God, so many. Podbean as well. You can check us all out there. And at this point, I'm not adding another streaming network. This is it. You don't get any bigger than all the ones that I just mentioned. That is it. If you can't find a way to find us, you can even go on to any Amazon devices and find this show on your Amazon devices. All you got to do is just say ACMG presents Talk Time Live. I have done it. I have a video of me doing it. So it's as everywhere as you could possibly get it. So thank you for all of those who support this show, who will support us, and stay tuned. 2020 is going to be major. God willing, it will be major for this brand, for ACMG, for everybody involved. So definitely check us out from there. So for now, that will do it. On behalf of myself, this is Dak Xavier Josiah saying, learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. I am out there. I will see you and talk to you guys on Sunday. Take care. Music for this episode is provided by Game Chops. Check out these great chiptune tracks and more at music.gamechops.com.